Am I overreacting for feeling upset that my wife keeps mentioning Trump in our family prayers, even during the grace before meals and bedtime prayers? I know it sounds a little strange, but hear me out. I'm 32, and I consider myself politically neutral. My wife, on the other hand, is anything but. At 25, she's a staunch supporter of the Make America Great Again movement and has been since 2016. She's pretty vocal about it on Facebook, posting some things that honestly make me uneasy. One time, she asked my coworker, right to his face, if he was documented. We literally grew up together in the Midwest, laughing at everything. So, yeah, it's a little awkward. I usually just let it slide, because it's not hurting me. I don't engage in politics much myself, so I don't let it get to me. But last month, something changed. One night, she was putting our 5-year-old son to bed. After reading him a story, she led him in a prayer, something simple, praying for Mommy, Daddy, Grandpa. And then she added, and Trump. I froze. Why was she praying for a man who wasn't even part of our family? I asked her about it, as calmly as I could. Her response? She went off on me, explaining how Trump was persecuted, how he needed prayers to win the election, and how he was fighting off the enemy. Again, I let it go. It wasn't worth the fight. But the next time it happened, it felt like she was doing it just to spite me. Even at mealtime, she would add, and bless Trump, quickly, almost as if she were in a hurry to avoid any objection. I felt like I was losing control of what was supposed to be our family's prayer time. And then last night, things reached a breaking point. My 77-year-old father had a small stroke and was rushed to the hospital overnight. When I told my wife and son, I prayed for my dad. Before I could finish, she added, and bless Trump. That was it. I snapped. I told her she needed to keep Trump out of our family prayers. This was our personal connection to God, and I didn't want some politician messing with it. She hasn't spoken to me since. Am I in the wrong here? Maybe I'm making a bigger deal out of it than I should, but it feels like it's gone too far. What's your take? The comments were quick to roll in. One person said, damn, you married a general, and now you're upset because she's being petty? You're not in the wrong for asking her to tone it down, especially when your father's in the hospital. But you're only just realizing how deeply politics can affect your life. You chose this path. Another comment read, I get why you let it slide, but I'll be honest, I wouldn't be okay with this either. You're letting her build an army of Trump supporters right under your roof, and you're just sitting back. It's a deal breaker for me. One person even said, honestly, you're letting some racist comments slide about your coworker, and now you're upset over this? That's not being neutral. That's enabling harmful behavior. Someone else even compared it to the rise of fascism, warning, it's dangerous to say, it doesn't affect me. Your wife is either deeply naive or has fallen into a dangerous mindset. You should take your kid and leave. This isn't just about Trump, it's about how your wife is treating people, including you. The responses kept coming, but none of them seemed to ease my frustration. The focus was so heavily on my wife's political views, it felt like nobody understood where I was coming from. Then came the update. So, I mentioned in my earlier post that my dad suffered a small stroke. Well, that was just the beginning. He had a major stroke the next day and passed away last night. My whole family is devastated. Even my wife, though, when I said a prayer for him, she didn't mention Trump. She was respectful, and I appreciated it. But then came the moment where I messed up. We were getting ready for bed, and I thanked her. She asked why, and I said, for not bringing up Trump during the prayer for my dad. Her reaction? She immediately got defensive, accusing me of thinking she was a terrible person. I reminded her that she had done it before, even when we first found out about my dad's stroke. She insisted that it was different, that she didn't know it was that serious. I argued, but I messed up by showing her the post I'd made earlier. She read through all the comments, and, unsurprisingly, she got even more upset. Then she drove off to her friend's house, leaving me to take care of our son. When she returned, she posted on Facebook about how I had forced her to drop out of college when we met, and how I made her start a family. She said I was against her beliefs and accused me of being the problem. I guess some of the comments about our age difference and my political neutrality got to her. She really threw it all in my face. And now I'm left feeling completely torn. The feedback is everywhere. People are calling me a troll, accusing me of enabling her toxic beliefs, and labeling me as a Nazi for not picking a side. But here's the thing, I never chose to be neutral to avoid conflict. Both sides of politics feel equally destructive. My father died, and now my wife won't talk to me. Is this really my fault? Or am I just caught in the middle of something I can't control? The comments continued pouring in. One person responded, "I won't touch the political issue. What I will say is that your wife's behavior, her total lack of compassion and grace, is far more troubling. You're dealing with the loss of your father, and she left you in the lurch. That's the real problem here." Another added, "I'm so sorry for your loss. Beyond her troubling political views, her actions after your father passed are downright disrespectful. You deserve so much more than this." One comment read, "Your dad passed away, and the next day she leaves you alone with your son and no car? You're not the problem here, but your wife's behavior is a huge issue." The responses hit me hard. But it's clear, there's so much more going on here than just politics. The sense of betrayal is palpable. Imagine being in her shoes. How could he, you might think, but for her, the lines of right and wrong blur in ways no one expects. Her heart is in turmoil, her emotions are tangled in a web of confusion. Is it even possible to forgive him? She wonders. A relationship, once so firm, now cracks beneath the weight of an affair with someone she thought was family. A friend. Her best friend's shadow looms large in the background. And yet, she's not angry. How could she feel nothing? Shouldn't she be devastated? Her husband, Jay, the man she spent nearly a decade with, drops a bombshell. He's been sleeping with his childhood friend, Pete, for longer than she wants to know. And as he admits it, his tears flow, not the ones that trickle out during a movie or a sad story, but the kind you can't hide. Raw. Unstoppable. The kind you only see when someone's soul is breaking. But even then, she doesn't feel rage. She doesn't feel disgust. She feels lost in a world where the rules don't make sense anymore. She loves him. That's undeniable. But what does love mean in a situation like this? Is love enough to swallow this betrayal, to push past it? Or is it the ultimate test? Jay tells her the truth. He loves both her and Pete. He's caught between them, unable to make a decision. She's the love of his life. Pete is, too. And now, it's her turn to decide. Will she forgive him? Or will she walk away, breaking the tie he's created between two worlds? It's not just about the affair anymore. It's about their marriage. Their future. Her future. And Pete, the friend who's shattered her trust. Why couldn't he face her? Why did Jay have to be the one to break the news? She can't escape that question. It gnaws at her. The silence between them feels deafening. She wants advice, but what can anyone offer? It's too complicated. No one can truly know what it's like to be in her shoes. No one can walk that tightrope between loyalty and betrayal, love and loss. But, as she writes her plea for help, she can't help but feel the sting of judgment. Her worth is questioned. Her choices are dissected. Yet, the facts remain, she's a strong, independent woman. With a career. With education. With confidence. Her self-worth isn't up for debate. The struggle isn't about that. The struggle is inside, in the quiet moments when the world falls away, and all that's left is her, Jay, and the tangled mess of emotions. The responses pour in. Some harsh, some supportive, but they all have one thing in common, they challenge her. They question her decisions. Wouldn't she deserve better? Shouldn't she walk away? Why stay with a man who's been unfaithful for so long? But, amid the advice and opinions, the truth becomes clear. Her love for him hasn't disappeared. She's not looking for validation. She's looking for a way forward. Can she accept him? Can they move past this? The story doesn't end there. It evolves. She chooses to ask for space. Not out of anger or desperation, but because she needs clarity. And during this space, something shifts. Her decision becomes more certain. Separation seems inevitable. But Jay, despite the pain, doesn't beg for a return. He gives her the space she needs, knowing it may lead to an end. After weeks of separation, a conversation brings them back together. They talk, no pretense, no blaming, just raw truths. It's not about fixing everything overnight. It's about acknowledging what's broken and deciding if it's worth salvaging. Jay still loves her. He loves Pete. He doesn't want to choose between them. But he doesn't want her to feel trapped. She's free to make her choice. The air is heavy with tension as Pete, the friend who caused so much pain, enters the picture. But something unexpected happens. The dynamic shifts. There's honesty. No more hiding. No more secrets. Pete reveals that their relationship wasn't as long as she feared. The truth about their bond comes out. There's no magic fix, no easy way forward, but a path begins to take shape. Therapy becomes the bridge they must cross, both as individuals and as a couple. Each of them, including Pete, must confront their own emotional baggage. It's not easy. It's raw. It's complicated. But it's real. And then, the final piece of the puzzle falls into place. Her asexuality, a part of her that's been there all along, is brought to light. It changes the way they view their relationship, but it doesn't define it. It's not about sex for her, it's about connection. About understanding. And in this moment, she finds clarity. She doesn't need the approval of others. She knows what she wants. She knows what she needs. The story doesn't end with a clean bow. There's no fairy tale ending here. But there is growth. There is understanding. There is the possibility of healing, of finding a way forward together, or apart. And as she takes that first step toward the unknown, she realizes that the hardest part wasn't choosing whether to stay or leave. It was learning to choose herself.